advices that I think were not very good that I was given in my life. And also I asked you on the community tab if you had some advices that you particularly thought were not that great. So I'll always share like one of mine and then I'll read one of your comments. I think we have like 10 advices in total that are not just that great that maybe you should not follow. Okay, let's start. So, first one. This one is mine. And I was given this advice when I was very young, maybe like 15 or 16. And it is that, okay, it was this. You're going to fall out of love with the person you're going to marry anyway. So just choose someone you can tolerate. And personally, okay, first of all, I've never been married, so there is a chance that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I feel like looking at marriage this way is not exactly a great approach. I would even say that love is not enough, right? You also need some like emotional maturity and stability in the relationship and respect. And this advice is very, very cynical. Maybe it's realistic. Maybe once I would get older I would also be like that. Who knows? But I refuse to take this advice. Okay. Somebody said, getting married solves everything. Marry at 19 or 20 and have kids. Worst advice you can ever give to a girl. So, I'm just going to say this. At 19 or 20, I was really dumb. Like, I was kind of naive and stupid. Let's be honest, I thought I knew everything. I thought like, oh, I'm an adult now, like I can do adult decisions about my life, yada yada yada. And now I look at that time and I'm like, what was that? No, but just the fact that your brain fully develops at the age of 24 says something, right? I feel like before the age of like 23, 24, I really couldn't tell when people were trying to manipulate me, where people were being dishonest, when they had ulterior motives. I thought that if somebody is talking to me, that means they like me as a person, and that unfortunately is not always the case. You know, sometimes it's about like ego, or the person just kind of likes the idea of you but doesn't care about you as a person. It's much more complicated, and I thought I could see through it at that age, and I didn't at all. So it was a learning experience for sure, and I'm just glad I didn't make any like stupid decision at the time that would affect my life later on too much. And I don't like how sometimes society makes it as like, oh, if you're not married by this age, that means that something is wrong with you, blah blah blah. And I would say that a lot of people don't necessarily get married because they actually want to spend the rest of the life with the person, at least the people around me that I know, I should say, but rather because society tells them to. By the way, I have no idea what's going on outside. I don't know if you can hear this like rumbling vow, like, okay, this is going to be the person I should spend the rest of my life with. That if you want kids, that will raise the kids with you. That should get you through the death of your parents and losing, your loved ones. Like, I feel like sometimes people just do not even realize what they're getting themselves into. And that's why the divorce rates are so high now. Also, there were girls that got married at that age, around like 19 and 20, to much older guys, because most of the time, which guy is financially stable at that age? So they got married to like guys 20 years older, and all of them are getting a divorce now already. So there was some like cheating involved. It's just a whole mess that I will not get into. Next advice that I was given that I think is not really a good one, and I was very, very young when I got this advice. I was like 12 actually, and it was by a family member, and it was: never show your weakness to anyone, because they will prey upon it. Right off the bat, I'm going to say this advice messed me up so bad, because I felt like I cannot share what I'm going through with anyone, because if I did, that means that I'm weak, and then they would prey upon it, right? Now, I feel like, well, first of all, you cannot exactly form meaningful connections without being vulnerable, without sharing everything about yourself, including the bad parts. And second of all, if somebody is going to use that against you, if they know like your insecurities and will try to use it in an argument, let's say, against you, they're not a person you want to keep in your life. I've learned this the hard way. So just, I don't know, like, yes, you can be careful about opening up to people. It's very difficult to do, let's be honest, but it's okay to show your vulnerable side from time to time. I still have issues with this now. I've realized this until recently, that amongst my friends and family, I'm always the person that has this reputation of being very like mentally strong and that I can handle anything, but sometimes I feel like it's the exact opposite. I just tend not to show it, and if I do show it in front of some of my friends, they're like, whoa, like, what was that? I'm not used to seeing this from you. So that's still something I need to work on. Next horrible advice from you this time: oh, you're worried, just stop worrying. Yeah, I got this advice as well, and it's not like you can control sometimes your brain. I sometimes acknowledge the fact that I am an overthinker, and if something is bothering me, or something worries me, I tend to think about it obsessively, but not exactly in a productive way. So instead of coming up with solutions, I just, even if I do think of a solution, I don't necessarily execute it. So I try to be better at that, but this advice is just not exactly helpful at all, actually. Okay, next advice, also from a family member: just because you have really bad arguments with someone, aka screaming matches, name calling, insults, doesn't mean that they don't love you. I was also very young when I was given this advice, and it messed me up how I viewed relationships, because even if I would play the devil's advocate and say, yes, sure, people that do this can technically relationships are extremely, extremely horrible. So yeah, this was not a good advice, unfortunately, because it can lead to a dangerous situation. It can escalate at some point. If someone is calling you every insult they can think of in an argument, this is not a person you want to have in your life, unfortunately. And I had to discover this myself and unlearn this advice. Because if you don't, this can lead you to very, very, very bad situations. Okay. Next advice from you this time. Don't get good grades because the boys won't like you. This was also a thing in my middle school and high school. I don't know why. For some reason you did not want to be a straight A student because that meant you're not going to be popular. And now I'm like, who even cares about popularity in high school, right? Like, once you leave high school, it doesn't mean absolutely anything. Rather, the friendships that you create during that time that will stay with you will matter, but popularity doesn't mean anything, truly. So I also try to aim for like B's. I remember though, this advice was also given to our class by a teacher. By a teacher. The wording might have been different, but still, from a teacher. Oh god. Okay, next advice. This one is mine. To not do a semester abroad. So I always wanted to study abroad or live abroad from a very young age. I wanted to study abroad in high school already because my high school was part of this big program that allowed you to study in like Germany or the UK. The UK was still in EU at the time. And I couldn't do it because of my parents. My parents were against it and I wasn't 18, so boo. But then I did a semester abroad in uni and I would say, changed my life. You're going to gain so many experiences you would not have otherwise. Also, I chose a completely different continent, which might have played a part. It's not like I could call my parents and they could get on an airplane and be there within like 2 hours. You know, it was challenging, but I gained a lot of experiences through that. But not a lot of students did it at the time. They were afraid. What I find interesting is that the very few students that did the semester abroad kind of got attached to the countries and they want to move there or are thinking about moving there in the future, which is interesting, like me included. So again, like it's such a good opportunity if you can take it, if your school, your uni offers it, right? But yeah, I was given this advice also when I was in uni, actually, by my family, but every other professor at the university said, go, if you can, go. Okay, next horrible advice from you. To not get a job doing something you enjoy, then it will just become work. This is why my spouse is still undecided on a career. Yeah, I can see where they're coming from, but work is such a big part of our lives, unfortunately, well, for most people. And if you're doing something that you don't enjoy, I believe that it will kind of crush your soul over time. Okay, I think I know what is going on outside. It's the wind. Like, the wind is so strong that like you can actually hear it. I hope it's not bothering you. So also felt like I have to do something that I do not enjoy for work, because then I would just lose the passion that I had for whatever I wanted to do. And I feel like that's not true. Like, yes, the passion can turn into discipline, for example, but I believe that doing something you love, even though it technically will turn into work, is still a blessing that not a lot of people have. A lot of people regret their career choices. I did as well. So better do something that you like, at least can tolerate, right? Okay, next advice, and this is mine, and then I think that will be it for today's video. So this was given to me from a friend, and it was to just find random people to sleep with. It doesn't mean that I need to be in a relationship. So this was during a time where my life was just falling apart like crazy, and I shared this with her, and I said that I cannot even think of trying to date right now because it's like too chaotic. I feel very unstable, and this was her advice, which, like, no, like, I'm not going to do that. If I don't feel like doing that, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, by the way, there is something that I've noticed on social media, and I don't know if a lot of people feel that way or not, but it seems like people are forcing themselves to date, to go on to dating apps, to like desperately trying to find the other person, to the point it actually affects their mental health, because it's like they get ready for, I don't know, like 100th first date that year, and they're just so sick of it, and it's like they feel like they will never find someone anyway, and the society tells them to, and it's like, I don't know, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. Like, if you're doing something that clearly doesn't make you happy, if you're trying to force something, then just don't do it. I don't know. Is this a bad advice? Tell me. Maybe. But maybe it's because I feel very secure in, like, knowing myself. I know that if I don't feel exactly well adding random people, or whatever this advice was, is just going to make everything 10 times worse. So I'm not forcing myself to do anything, and sometimes people don't get it, really. They're like, what is wrong with you? You know? But yeah, anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed this discussion video. If you still have some advice that was given to you in your lifetime that you think is not exactly the best, then you can write it in the comments. I kind of want to make an opposite video of this. So, like, the best advice someone has given you, I might do that. So watch out for the community tab once I'll post the post. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if something resonated with you, and I'll see you next time.